As we kick off the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Kai Universe 13 manga chapter special, with Merno having to be shown pulling Shile out of a portal, and as he begins to taunt Broly even further, he went along to then tell him, "I wonder how you will respond once you watch her draw her last breath, Broly. She's counting on you to save her life, yet all you're doing is letting them down. Maybe I'll start by tearing her head clean off so you can watch her blood drip down onto your feet." And this really infuriates Broly because following their initial battle, Broly had seemed to have been beaten down by Merno, but he ends up standing up and crying out "Shile!" and raising his battle power up even more, and Broly wastes little time in charging directly at Merno and connecting a bone-rattling shot to Merno's face. And the second we see Broly connect a really clean shot to Merno's face, before Merno could be sent flying out into the distance, what Broly ended up doing was grabbing onto Merno's leg to prevent him from flying away, and he did to Merno what he did to Goku in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, and that was beginning to slam Merno's body down onto the ground over and over and over and over again, to the point where Broly just keeps crying out, "Die, die, 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 die." And as we see Broly continuously just slamming Merno's carcass on the floor, he went along to tell him, "I'll tear your head off, die, die, die." So Broly is really angry at the fact that Merno basically told him, "Hey, I'll start by ripping her head off just to see your reaction." And as we see Merno on the ground, he went along to comment, "His power just increased tremendously with that outburst of power. It's difficult to gauge this mortal because his power seems to be increasing on the spot. How remarkable, yet inspiring. That's the way. Show me everything you are capable of." And as he says this, what Broly ends up doing is stomping down on Merno's head into the ground, and that's all Broly's doing. He's stomping on Merno's head deeper and deeper into the dirt as he went along to tell him, "Die, die, die." So Broly doesn't care. He wants to completely torture this dude, which he is doing, because after slamming this dude on the floor repeatedly, now he's crushing his face in, as moments later what Broly ended up doing was charge up a massive blast over his head as he went along to comment, "Disappear." And as Broly ends up launching this thing down onto the ground, Merno is absolutely shook and he is engulfed by this blast as he went along to cry out, "Insolence! Mortal scum, you won't destroy what I am." As only then in space we see how this blast can be seen literally from out of orbit in the fact that Planet Vampa is shaking. Planet Vampa is consumed by this massive blast. As we go back to Broly, he seems to be shaking, he seems to be kind of tired in a way to where he seems exhausted, as only then Merno goes on to tell him, "I will admit, you are full of surprises, creature. A beast with seemingly no limits to his power." As only then a small portal is shown opening up behind him, Merno then continues, "But how far are you willing to push yourself to save them? You don't think this was over now, did you?" As Merno steps right through, he ends up connecting a really good kick to Broly's face as he went along to then tell him, "Because this game is over when I say it's over." So Merno basically tricked and deceived Broly in allowing him to think that he actually had a chance in this battle. As Merno is then shown literally beating up Broly, he then went along to tell him, "You have wasted the greatest gifts that the gods have given you, only to choose to side with other mortals." And with Broly trying to fight back, Merno then continues, "Look at you. You could barely hit me. I can feel the force of that punch. Here then, allow me to respond with a small example of my true power then." And with Merno then shown connecting a thunderous knee to Broly's abdominal section, he only then went along to ask him, "Can you feel it?" And with Broly staggering backwards because this knee shot really looked to have done some damage to Broly as he begins to stagger backwards, Merno then with his arms crossed went along to comment, "And here I thought you were different than the rest. You'd rather fight for your friends than become a respected universal destroyer. How stupid of you. Which ultimately harkens back to when Merno asked Vegeta for the same thing in wanting to see how far Vegeta would go to become a god of destruction, because Merno has this weird ideology about these mortals and choices. He wants to see if these mortals could choose between becoming a respective god or choosing to fight for their friends and their families. And thus far, Goku had chosen to stick up for his friends and family, Vegeta had chosen to stick up for his friends and family, and now Broly had chosen to stick up for his friends and family rather than becoming any kind of god of destruction. But Merno doesn't stop there, because he only went along to continue. Such wasted talent. Go ahead and try to stand back up. I'm only going to put you back down. And as Broly is shown really trying to stand back up, under his breath, he went along to comment, I will not lose. I will not lose them. And as Broly charges right in, Merno's standing there so casually and accepting this by telling Broly, but you've already lost, mortal. Can't you see? You're acting on willpower at this point. Your mind is clouded. So he's treating Broly like a child, as he only then went along to tell him, here's another example of your failure. Can you feel that one? It looks like you are already in pain, aren't you? As Merno is shown striking Broly directly in the face, Broly looks like he's hurt. Broly looks like he's really being put in a difficult position, because he's nothing more than a simple mortal trying to compete with that of a deity, that of an angel. But only then, with Broly grabbing onto Merno's arm, Merno went along to comment, what? Let go of me, you! And as Broly grabs onto Merno, he connects a clean shot to Merno's face by punching him directly in the chin, and with Merno shown staggering back, what Broly tried to do was deliver a double axe handle to Merno, but Merno quickly vanishes by using his portals yet again, and as he re-emerges from the portal behind Broly, he only then went along to tell him, you surprised me with that little trick of yours, Broly, but I have many tricks of my own too. Now I see why your people threw you away like trash, because they saw through your weakness. They knew you'd amount to absolutely nothing. It's bad enough that your father had to die due to your inability to finish the job, but now you're going to be responsible for 2 more. Basically kind of poking fun that King Vegeta threw away Broly because he was absolute garbage, and that Broly was responsible for Paragus' death, and now, being the fact that he is unable to finish the job against Merno, he is now going to be responsible for the death of Limo and Chile just due to the idea of Broly's inability to stand up to such an angel. And this is really beginning to sound like a mental game to Merno, because only then Merno continues, trash will always be trash. Right, Broly? And this sets Broly off. Everything that Merno had said, everything that Merno had done, this triggers Broly in having to power up to such a state that Merno ends up commenting, whoa, what's this? His power has shot up beyond anything I've seen before, including when I battled Vegeta and Goku. What's he hiding? I'm so excited. So Merno acknowledges that this power increase is actually far more sufficient and a lot deeper than how he felt when he battled against Vegeta and Goku, and as Broly begins to raise his energy up even more, everything around them is beginning to crack, everything around them is beginning to break, because this is it. Broly had finally reached his boiling point, and in a blinding surge of light out of nowhere, we get to observe how for the first time Broly is shown tapping into Super Saiyan 3 on raw anger alone, and with Broly standing there in all his glory, Merno went along to comment, what an unbelievable power, Saiyan! It seems I've pushed you into achieving a new transformation through this conflict. Very impressive. You just might be stronger than Vegeta was when I fought him after training with my father. And with Merno beginning to clap, he only then comments, you have my respect for your efforts. Now then, why don't you show me what you and this newly discovered powers of yours can really do? So although Merno is very impressed by seeing this, he's not scared, but instead, he's welcoming this idea of Super Saiyan 3 Broly having to come right at him, and that's exactly what Broly ends up doing, because as we get to observe how Super Saiyan 3 Broly just charges right in, you can only imagine how strong a version of Broly like this would be, in the fact that Broly in his singular Super Saiyan form at full power was strong enough to compete against a Super Saiyan Gogeta in Dragon Ball Super Broly, as it even then took a Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta Vegeta to put him down. So here, we have a much entirely different Broly with a huge power increase compared to the last, and he wastes little time in charging right in, and the second we see Broly steps in, he delivers a gut-wrenching punch to Merno's stomach that not only goes as far as to lift Merno off the ground, but Merno is then having to show him coughing up blood, and with Broly delivering shot after shot, punch after punch, he's not stopping. He is literally beating Merno up to the point where he ends up grabbing Merno by the neck, and as we see Broly's massive hand just consume Merno's throat, Merno then went along to comment, "Get your hands off of me," but instead, what Broly ends up doing is punching Merno right in the face as he's holding him up above him, and Broly doesn't stop because Broly just keeps punching him and punching him and punching him as he went along to then tell him, "Crush you," and with Broly throwing Merno down onto the ground, Merno ends up hitting the floor with force before flying away, and the minute we see Merno backing up, he went along to say to himself, "Damn that beast. He just may be more of a pain to deal with now than I ever expected him to be with this power." And with Merno acknowledging that Broly is going to be a lot more difficult to deal with now than before, he then went along to ask where did he go, because Broly ended up getting behind Merno, and in one quick swoop, Broly ends up latching onto Merno and constricting him and squeezing him with such power that Merno is struggling to get out as he went along to cry out, "Curse you, Saiyan! Release me right this second!" And Broly's not stopping because as Broly is shown clutched onto Merno and squeezing him more and more, Merno then continued, "I said release me, you filthy beast! This was a dirty move!" And as Broly squeezes even harder, he went along to tell Merno, "Now die." And with Broly shown squeezing Merno, you can only imagine the amount of force and the amount of pressure that Broly is putting into squeezing Merno like an orange, as only then, out of nowhere, with Broly shown squeezing Merno, there is a massive kick delivered to Broly's face as Merno went along to comment, "Oh no, you dumb mortal." And with this kick having to really break Broly's concentration, Broly ends up hitting the ground beneath him, but immediately tries to stand back up as he went along to ask, "What?" Because Broly had Merno right where he wanted him in squeezing the life out of him until then, out of nowhere, we observe how there are now two Mernos in the sky as one of them went along to comment, "It's a good thing I'm always 5 steps ahead of my opponents. Did you forget about my clones? Well, surprise!" As he only then continues, "I'll give it to you. If it wasn't for my clone, you would have crushed me to death. But I think it's time we repay you for that then." And with Broly wasting little time, he ends up raising his power level up even more because you can only assume that Broly right now is more annoyed than anything else because he wants to get his hands on Merno, he wants to kill Merno, and now it's come down to a situation where Broly is going to be fighting 2 Mernos at the same time, and as Broly attempts to strike them, they quickly move out of the way and jumping through their own individual portals and telling Broly, "I have so many surprises in store for you. Come catch us if you can." And over out on Beerus' planet, we go back to Goku and Vegeta. As Goku and Vegeta are shown looking up at the sky, Goku went along to comment, "Whoa, Vegeta, do you feel that? Is that?" With Vegeta responding, "Yes, it is, but someone's there with him too. Don't tell me it's..."